An Atlanta-based business, Beauty Supply Institute, accused of preying on Black people, now has a choice. According to a voluntary compliance agreement issued by the Attorney General's office, it can either stop doing business in the state or pay nearly $2.2 million. Now, the agreement does not require BSI or its founder, Devin Robinson, to admit any wrongdoing. But this does come after a year-long 11Alive News investigation, which we discussed in depth back in January. Take a look.
A Metro Atlanta company promising to help the Black community run their own beauty supply stores is leading some to bankruptcy instead. Beauty Supply Institute, or BSI, has books, videos, and conferences to market its start-to-finish service. But senior investigative reporter Rebecca Lindstrom has received dozens of complaints from clients who say it's just not true. Rebecca's joining us now with all the details on Inside 11Alive News Investigates. Rebecca.
The Better Business Bureau recently gave BSI an F rating, going as far as to issue a consumer alert because it says BSI isn't doing anything to resolve consumer complaints. Every time we air a story, more clients reach out, all with eerily similar stories. This is supposed to be a beauty supply store. Even though Pauline McLaurin signed the lease 10 months ago, the shelving sits unassembled on the floor and there are no products to sell.
Once you have all the product and all the inventory, they come out within 2-3 days, they build everything and they put everything how it should be displayed.
Paul McLaurin is referring to BSI, Beauty Supply Institute, a company headquartered here in Atlanta. The company promotes Black business ownership, making dreams a reality by helping clients get their store open from start to finish.
I can invest into this person that has all the knowledge, has all the connections.
But 3 years after McLaurin signed the contract, she is stuck paying rent on a store in Florida that is missing the actual products. And she is not alone. How many of you have spent more than $50,000 trying to get your store open? Absolutely everybody. 11Alive Investigates talked with 10 other people from across the country that signed contracts with BSI. They too are waiting on their products.
Basically, their responses to everything is, I don't know.
They give like vague answers. Nobody knows anything.
The distributor is on back order.
After calling, sending an email, and a visit to each of BSI's Metro Atlanta locations, the company founder, Devin Robinson, agreed to talk with us. But we were only allowed to record the audio of that conversation.
It is not all on us, and none of it is a nefarious act. Like, it's business.
Robinson told us his company simply grew too fast for demand.
We had to implement new technology. We just had to do certain things to be able to handle certain scale.
Robinson says it can take a year after a store is ready to get a team out to set it up with products. But these customers say that is too long.
I was borrowing money from right to left so I can keep my store. I was calling them every single day with tears, crying.
We're barely making it. I'm just being honest. We're barely making it.
We've exhausted everything with BSI.
We shared those frustrations with Robinson.
That is a very hurtful thing for me.
And for them.
Yeah.
McLaurin says it's incredibly hurtful to her.
And it's been devastating. I mean, honestly, I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to stay happy because I have too many kids to not.
McLaurin says she has spent more than $125,000 to get her store open. About $50,000 of that for products that have yet to come.
I can't keep living like this. I need to know, am I going to have a store or am I not going to have a store?
And unfortunately, the answer to that question is no, she does not have a store. Pauline did have to give up her lease and her dream because she kept doing multiple jobs, trying to earn enough money in order to stay afloat. It's not just the initial loan that they're taking out. You have to think, they have other bills to pay. There's sort of this anticipation that You find the location, you start getting delivery of the shelving, the materials you're going to need, and then those supplies are going to arrive. And so they are taking out other loans, just waiting, thinking, okay, the product's going to arrive next week. They're going to arrive next week, only to find out that they're just not arriving at all. And so BSI sort of considers that if you do go out and buy your own products, we've kind of learned in investigating this that you have breached the contract because they are supposed to be providing you the materials. And so once you've breached the contract, well, now you just get into a whole nother process.
Yeah, but you can only wait for so long. So how is this all supposed to work?
Okay, that really depends on who you ask. I mean, if you were to ask BSI, they would say that you give them the money, you do the training, and you find the location, and then you wait until the products are available because they will not begin to set up your store until everything has been delivered to your location. And so that's why even one thing, a register, a shelf, a product, that you're waiting on, just one thing can continue to delay how long it's going to take before they will open it up. Now, if you were to ask the individual clients, they would say that this process shouldn't take long at all, that as soon as you found the location, then you should be receiving the products and then you should be getting that back up and running. The complaints didn't just come from people here in Atlanta. We actually heard from people all across the country, and Nate Morabito in Charlotte talked with clients who also there were wondering, where's the money?
A new day. A fresh start.
You always in the neighborhood?
A shot.
Yes, ma'am.
At success.
I always see my mom $1. She tried to turn it to $2.
Inspired by what this country could offer.
The longer you put the work, you will see the outcome of it.
Marjorie Stewartson left Haiti.
I was chasing the American dream.
And immigrated to the land of opportunity.
The Queen stand for my daughter and my 2 nieces.
The owner of Queen's Beauty Supply and Fragrances in West Charlotte is not only the first person in her family to own a business, she's also a role model for the next generation.
It's a lot.
Which makes her current situation that much more heartbreaking.
It hurts.
9 months after opening,
You feel like you fail.
the businesswoman is on the brink of closing.
I thought I was doing something to better myself and my kids. And then in the long run, I hurt myself.
Records show Stewartson paid Beauty Supply Institute $70,000 in 2022 to help get her store up and running.
These are the mannequin heads they give.
And while BSI did come through with the furnishings,
The shelf, all the hooks, it's coming from them.
the entrepreneur says the beauty supply company failed to ship any startup inventory as promised for her to actually sell.
Hair, chemical, everything here I bought. Wigs, extensions. BSI don't provide no supplies.
That, she says, has left her with added debt, a limited supply of outdated merchandise, and few repeat customers.
There's people coming, but we don't have what they're looking for.
The result, not enough sales to even cover rent.
I invest my whole life. My retirement, my savings.
That is a very hurtful thing for me.
That's what the founder of the Atlanta-based company said in a prior recorded off-camera interview.
It is not all on us, and none of it is a nefarious act. Like, it's business.
In a phone interview, his attorney recently described the current situation as bleak, following unexpected financial challenges.
It sounds like to me what you're saying is he is still trying to turn this around, and for these people, there still may be hope.
But assured us, Robinson has not given up yet.
They can do better.
For Marjorie Stewartson,
it's crushed my dream.
Her business is personal.
I put faces for my kids, but I do cry every day.
The entrepreneur is a mother first, and just like her mother set an example,
just try not to give up.
She intends to do the same.
I had a 17-year-old daughter. If I give up, what example is she gonna follow?
Stewartson is supposed to have a partner in BSI. Instead, she feels alone. But tomorrow is a new day.
You guys have good prices here.
Thank you.
You can see the hope in her smile when she scores a rare sale. A reminder, success
Thank you for shopping with us.
Of course.
Is still a possibility, even as failure feels
Thank you.
inevitable. Stewartson is one of 4 business owners in North Carolina who have filed formal complaints against BSI, from Fayetteville to Durham, Raleigh to right here in Charlotte. The Attorney General's office tells us it is reviewing those complaints. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
And it is crushing to watch that story because I checked back in with Nate in the new year, and he said despite all of Marjorie's hard work to save her store, it is now closed. She says the landlord sent an eviction notice, locking her out before the formal eviction process even began. And I know of one other business that the client wanted to hold the space just to give BSI more time. And even though that client was paying on time, the landlord said, no, we're terminating the lease. He thought it looked bad for the development to have an empty store sitting on his property. So again, it's not just the clients that are getting frustrated with how long this is taking. It's the people who manage these developments that the stores are located in as well.
And so many people's livelihoods on the line, as we heard. You know, she put her savings and everything she had on the line. Has there been any sort of recourse or anything to come out of those complaints to the Attorney General?
Nothing good. So far, BSI customers have forwarded copies of letters that have come from the company telling them that because they complained, their orders are now being delayed. We also have seen letters that appear to come from BSI stating the company is pursuing legal remedies against anyone spreading what they consider to be defamation or false information. I did send a detailed letter to Devin Robinson asking case by case exactly what inaccurate information was being exchanged as we were talking with these clients and their claims, but I have received no response. I mean, these people are desperate because this is not only just losing their business and their dream, their credit score is getting destroyed through this. Many of them have had to file bankruptcy. I know one client who said because of all of this, she has lost her house. And after our first story aired, BSI did reach out to a few of the clients, said, hey, let's have a meeting. Let's just try to see if we can get this back on track. I am told that most of those meetings were canceled before they even happened, and those that did manage to have them said that nothing really ever came out of it. The only option that these people feel they have right now is to go to court. Of course, they're out of money. Their credit scores, you know, in the trash can. So they don't have money to go to court. So they feel like their hands are really tied. I know in Fulton County, the court did issue a default judgment in one case. But then when I talked with the client, she said, well, even though I got a default judgment, I didn't continue with the process because they never responded, even to the documents that came from the court. So why continue to spend more money trying to actually get the financial reward that had been given to them or issued to them in that default judgment? We are following one case right now that is in federal court to see where that goes, but we are beginning to see why it could be so hard to hold BSI accountable.
Emails, Zoom interviews, and YouTube videos pleading for help.
Horrific, devastating, life-changing experience.
I actually was Googling, so I clicked on your story. I was like, wow, that's me.
How many of you have spent more than $50,000?
Kenetha Ferguson joins more than 24 clients from across the country that have now reached out to 11Alive News Investigates. They all say they paid Atlanta-based Beauty Supply Institute, or BSI, to help them open a store. They would find the space and start paying rent, but then the products wouldn't show up, at least not in the time frame they expected, causing a cascade of financial problems. That's because BSI won't set up the store until everything has arrived.
No deadline on the contract. There's no date. In fact, there's no dates for anything on the contract outside the date that you sign. That's the only date.
BSI founder Devin Robinson has repeatedly declined to talk on camera, but in a written statement said some of the clients complaining do have their store open. Ferguson will admit she is one of them, but she says that's only because after renting a space for 9 months, she gave up waiting and borrowed more money to finish the job herself.
Have you had any problem receiving any of your products that you have gone out personally to order?
Not at all. no
been
delays,
no backlogs.
no backlogs, no nothing.
Nothing is what clients say they are getting from BSI. The company's storefront in Mapleton is closed, and its website warns phone lines are down. But this internal memo claims that BSI is changing the way it does business, impacting two of the main problems that led to complaints. It will now commit to an actual store completion date, and clients will now buy their products directly from the vendor.
Still, none of the 24 clients 11Alive News surveyed say that has changed anything for them. And despite complaints to Georgia's Consumer Protection Division and the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, neither has offered to help.
There's a lot of challenges.
We asked Mercer Law Professor Caleb Byers why police, prosecutors, and regulatory agencies won't get involved.
It can be very difficult to prove that the company actually was committing some type of fraud, withholding money intentionally.
Byers is not involved in any of the BSI cases. While Ferguson feels her money was stolen, BSI says it has done nothing wrong. It blames back orders, health problems, and exploding growth for the service delays. It says there are 116 store owners across the country who owe it more than $7 million. Byers says law enforcement doesn't always have the resources to sort out the truth, leaving clients only one choice: a civil lawsuit.
If you're not fulfilling your services, I want my money back. Kind of simple.
Maybe simple to her, but certainly not fast. Her case has been going on for more than a year now in federal court. There hasn't been a single hearing yet. She says BSI did offer her a settlement, but to her it was so low that she chose to reject it, wanting to go ahead with the court process. Now, in BSI's most recent statement to 11Alive Investigates, Devin Robinson, the CEO of the company, called many of the people we interviewed liars. He says they either didn't pay as much as they claimed, lied on the time frame to open, or about how many products they did or did not receive. And I agree, details are important. Each of these clients have provided us with their contracts and their receipts, which is why I asked Robinson for more of those details. But the broad strokes, I mean, here really remain. If you were trying to help people open a store, then, you know, in their viewpoint, open it. Some of these customers have reported problems going back to 2021. That's kind of when something really seemed to shift. And that's, 3 years with no resolution. Robinson says the problems behind each case are different, and that despite the negative publicity, he has still been able to open 8 stores across the country. But again, details, when I ask him exactly where those stores are located, he did not give us the address or information. And again, you'd think those stores would want the publicity. Hey, we're open, we're in this community, come buy your products.
Yeah, all the responses seem so generic, and that's what I'm noticing here. So much to unpack here. What about BSI? Are they still running and open for business?
When we ask BSI, when we asked Devin Robinson directly, he says yes, that they are still open. But as you saw, the storefront and the corporate office in Mapleton are closed. We do know that Robinson had a location that was in Peachtree Corners, but we can't call to find out if they're really doing the operations there because BSI's website claims that their phone lines are down. You saw that warning message that we had there in that last story, and it still stands on their webpage to this day. It says that it's a problem with Xfinity and that the phone lines might be down for 30 days, but we first noticed that issue in November. So more than 30 days have passed. So you're beginning to see some of the frustration that these clients are having. Maybe there is nothing nefarious going on, but they just can't get answers. Therefore, they can't get a resolution as to what really is going on and how do they move their dreams and their business forward. Again, we got that internal memo that says they are going to change the way they do business, but none of that seems to have really impacted any of the people already kind of caught up in this and going through this experience right now.
Yeah, so they're sort of in this holding pattern. So what's next for these people?
We're going to be watching that federal lawsuit to see what happens there, and then seeing, depending on that, whether other people choose to file lawsuits of their own. We're also going to continue to check in with the Consumer Protection Division while at least publicly We have not seen that they have taken any action yet. They are still encouraging people that if you feel the company has done something wrong under Georgia law, to please get in touch with them and file a formal complaint. You can do that even if you aren't a resident of the state.
All right, Rebecca, thank you so much for staying on top of this and fighting to get these businesses, again, the answers that they at least deserve, and giving us a look inside this 11Alive News Investigates. And I'm sure we'll be checking back with you as there will be more to come.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
If you have a tip for Rebecca Lindstrom and the 11Alive Investigates team, call us at 404-873-9111 or email investigates@11alive.com. All calls and correspondence will be kept confidential.